From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey, everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief digital strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, we're going to talk about WordCamp Canada, otherwise known as WordCamp A, with my good friend, Mr. Dan Knauss and Troy Chaplin. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation that Dan, Troy, and I had. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I've got with me my two guests, Dan Knauss and Troy Chaplin, and we're going to talk about WCA, otherwise known as WordCamp Canada. Hey guys, how are you today?
Good.
Good. Good, Rob. Yourself?
Oh, doing well. It's a sunny
Nice to
day
see
in
you again, Rob.
Toronto. Oh, thanks, Dan. Always a pleasure. Sunny day in Toronto and hot and humid, and somebody needs to take the smog and forest fires out of the way and send them back to Dan out west because I don't want to do this anymore. Anyway, WordCamp Canada's coming, so
You've got smoke? Oh, it's been beautiful out here.
oh, we've got smoke. Yes, I know it's beautiful out there, Dan. My brother's out there, so in shiny town of Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta. So there you go. Not far from you. So yeah, we have smoke.
Oh, okay. Right nearby.
Yeah.
No.
So let's jump into WordCamp Canada. What's exciting going on, guys?
You want to start off there, Dan?
Well, we've been busy today. Yeah, it's been a busy time. It probably doesn't look as much from the outside, but um the latest news is we're about to tell people more openly, as we have our confirmed speakers, that we're going to add a contributor day on the front. So the 15th of October then, which is a Wednesday, and then the main event follows the next 2 days at the end of the week. Our contributor day event will be a little bit more, I guess, is maybe becoming fashion. I saw that the one of the posts recently from was it Krakow, Polish WordCamp in previous years has done this. I think some others have as well, where there's more of a educational environment at a instead of just having people working at tables for different contributor teams, we'll have some workshops and speakers around it as well. A keynote, maybe, I don't know if we can say, but we'll have like a third surprise keynote for our contributor day, and
Awesome.
we're trying to work out arrangements with Invest Ottawa at their Bayview Yards facility, which seems like a cool place to use. So if they come together as we hope with a sponsorship with them, then we'll probably be there for our contributor day.
Awesome. I really like that. That's a really cool idea. So now this rethinks my whole travel plan as I'm looking at flights. So there you go. So thank you for that. That's
Yeah, we want to
I
get
think
that out as soon as possible because it's getting down there, and right, this adds a day, so I hope that's not disrupting travel plans. But yeah, it's been been something we needed to find out if we could do it, if we could add that to the budget and to the timetable.
Yeah,
But
Dan and I have
yeah, we
been
have
kicking the
speakers
tires
picked.
pretty hard on on the contributor day because, like you said, we just got to get that information out to folks that are trying to make their travel arrangements, booking their hotels and stuff. So the longer we wait, the less people we'll have. So It was definitely a high priority for Dan and I to try to make this one kind of come together as soon as we
I
possibly
agree.
could.
Yeah, we're getting down to basically what are we at? We're in August at times, or August, September, October. We're down to almost no time, right? Pretty well. So
Is it like
did it change?
9, 10 weeks or
Yeah,
something?
10 weeks. Did it change the budget a lot, guys,
Yeah.
or to do contributor day, or was it not too bad?
No, it's going to work out well if we do this with Invest Ottawa and as an in-kind sponsor and kind of scratch each other's backs. That's really great. We have a lot of wonderful local sponsors backing us.
Yeah.
And they of course have an awesome network to like early career people, senior people, startup community, universities, students. We're we're doing our main events at Carleton University, so
Mhm.
well, we have a pretty wide draw, pretty broad reach, and people coming from all over the place. It'll be really, I think, a good way to connect with local
Yeah.
Ottawa and Ontario community as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you work at Carleton, Troy, so that's got to be exciting for you to be having this right in your backyard.
Yeah, I was part of an organizing team for WordCamp Ottawa for 5 or 6 years, and we
Yeah.
we held it at the same place that we're holding WordCamp Canada. So I'm very familiar with the venue. A lot of our internal staff get-togethers and stuff like that are all in the same venue. So I'm really familiar with the venue. So I know what it can do, and I know what a camp looks like there. So now I'm actually really excited to see what WordCamp Canada is going to look like here as well.
Yeah, and is there any, and I only ask this question because I've been to some other events at other universities in Toronto. Is there any big security concerns, Troy, with it being on the university campus? Anything special going on there, or is it pretty
Um,
straightforward?
I've never heard of any security issues.
Yeah,
I don't really know how much external stuff happens on campus, but I know,
yeah.
there's stuff here and there, and I've never heard any concerns over it, and no one's reached out to us or at least anybody from the organizing team to discuss that at all. So
That's a good thing. So we got 3 days coming up. Contributor Day, you've heard it here, so that'll be really exciting. You've announced your keynote speaker too, haven't you, for the main WordCamp? Who is it and why?
We have
yeah, so
two, one for each day, the main event, and yeah,
mhm.
go ahead.
No, I'm gonna look at something else on the site, and I'll let you talk to this one really quickly, Dan.
We're hoping to announce a third keynote for the contributor day that we're pulling together now, but we've had out for a while that Dave Weiner was our first
Yeah.
contributor, our first keynote that we announced, probably the best known name one since you've been blogging for 30 years and maybe best known as the author of the RSS 2.0
Mhm.
protocol, the one that won out. There's still people who prefer the was it the 0.92 or 91 was the other or Atom, but without that kind of syndication with capacity, you wouldn't have podcasting
No
that
question.
carries over to any platform you want. So long time thinker and influencer in open web innovation and understanding and being an advocate for the value of interoperability and being able to publish from one place to, in theory, everywhere else. So that carries over into our second keynote, which is Evan Prodromou, who's in Montreal, and I look forward to meeting him as another author, editor, collaborator with another W3C protocol, this time Activity Pub, which is newer
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
most people. But if you've gotten into the Fediverse at all and installed the Activity Pub plugin for WordPress, or know that it's the open protocol for Mastodon and similar systems, it's the key to kind of the open social web. And
Yeah.
Evan's been kind of pioneering that for many, many years through a lot of different projects. But this is kind of the one a lot of people are going in on now as
Hmm.
what can really open up systems to be able to share this almost users and content with who you choose to associate with across different platforms. So there's a lot of really cool potential down the road with that. A lot
Yep.
happening
And
with it.
I know you're a big user yourself of the Fediverse, Dan. You're kind of all in
A little
with
bit.
it. You're on Mastodon. Aren't you on Blue Sky as well, if I recall?
I have because of being involved in this. I mean, I unfortunately have little time to play with things. I try to keep up reading and then,
Yep.
following
Yep.
along, and then actually doing and building things is
Mhm.
rare. So, but this was a good excuse. This, I got
Yeah.
WordCamp Canada and a lot of different federated accounts, and it's very enjoyable. It's like the old days. You're actually talking to real
Yep.
people. There's an
Yep.
Ottawa instance of the hometown version of Mastodon. A couple set it up there. So you're talking to real communities, and that's who we want to talk to and engage
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah. Troy, how do you feel about the Fediverse? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Where do you sit?
I am so far into the rabbit hole of building blocks and design systems and themes and all
No
that stuff.
time.
I haven't really kind of gotten into the whole sharing of content and the social side
Yeah.
of things, and that it's hasn't really been in my wheelhouse. And thanks Dan for kind of speaking to those talks as well as you did. Um,
Yep.
I think one of the other
Well,
things that we worked on throughout July as well, in addition to the two keynotes, we started to put together our initial list of speakers. So back, I believe it was around the 21st or so of July, we announced our first 16 sessions for 17
Hmm.
speakers.
Awesome.
So we wanted to come out of the gate with a lot of talks and a lot of speakers as opposed to staggering them.
Yep.
And in the last, I think, 2 weeks since we made that announcement, we're now up to a total of 22 sessions for 24 speakers. So we're getting really close to a full schedule at this point. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, if not sooner, we'll be able to put out like our final schedule.
yeah,
Yep. That
absolutely.
sounds amazing. So it sounds like great. Is it a broad range of topics, or is there anything that stands out?
There's a few that stand out, but now that's for me personally based on what I'm interested in. But when I look at
Yep.
that schedule and I look at the topics that were proposed, I think we got something for everyone from business to AI to open web to education. There's some content stuff, there's some accessibility stuff. I think we've touched on the majority of the topics that you would like to get at least one or two sessions from at any conference that you go to.
Yep. Done.
Yeah. Troy could speak more to accessibility for sure. That's a perennial and popular, maybe even more each year. The accessibility talks that come in, and Carleton is a great place for that. We've blogged about that a bit. Troy's working kind of professionally and personally with
Mhm.
accessibility design, so um, that's Carleton's a leader in that. That's a cool place to be
Yep.
for that topic.
Yeah. Being with a university agency, you almost have to be any accessible gain. Years ago, number of years ago, I took a, short-term 3-day-a-week contract with the College of Family Physicians in Canada, and they're the same problem. Anything government related, even in email, has to be accessible now, not just web. Everybody thinks, oh, accessibility is a web thing. How about documents? How about a
Right.
PDF
Mhm.
file? How about your email mailing that goes out through Constant Contact? Like that's all got to be accessible. It's such an interesting space, isn't it, Troy?
There's a lot of aspects that I mean, I I I don't even think I know half of the areas where we need to be accessible. Like you mentioned PDS, that was I remember that one being a shock to a lot of folks, being like, "What do
Yeah.
you mean that's got to be accessible?" I'm like, well, it still falls under that realm. So there's a couple of talks about accessibility. I believe there's two talks in particular where they're encouraging people to come with their laptops and saying like, "Look, we're going to help you fix stuff on the spot." So
I
I
love
love
that.
that sort of session too, as opposed to because you're going to go to a session and then you're going to watch this for 45 minutes, ask a few questions, but then you're going to go off to your next sessions. And then, I like the idea of being able to tinker with things right then and there in the session. So I'm,
Mhm.
I'm really looking forward to some of those.
So do I.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to do a session like that, but I think it's better engagement from the audience to be involved that way too. So
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
agree. Um, if somebody's going to WordCamp Canada or WordCamp A, as we like to call it, and they haven't been to a WordCamp before, I think all three of us have been to WordCamps. You've been, Dan, and I've been, and you've been, Troy, obviously, WordCamp Ottawa back in the day. What should they expect if they haven't been before?
Friendly people is the
Yeah.
first thing that comes to mind. And it's funny because I think back to my first WordCamp. I actually wrote a post about my first WordCamp experience on the WordCamp
Okay.
A site. I went to Toronto in 2019.
I was
Now,
there.
I vaguely remember
Mhm.
some of the talks. There was key moments during talks that I remember, but the subjects of the talks I don't really remember. But I can tell you for a fact that I still have friends that I keep in touch with from that conference, like
Yep.
17, almost 16 years ago at this point.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and it's like I met some folks there that I might not talk to them for a couple of years, but if I see them at the next conference or they went on to be organizers in Montreal and you would touch base with them again, and
Yep.
it was these lasting friendships in the community that I
Yep.
find is one of my favorite things about a WordCamp is learning from the other folks and then having this network of people that you can just chat to. Or now that I see them on post status and stuff like that, there's a lot of great ways to start building yourself within that community or building your own contacts within the community as a first time camp goer.
Yeah, I
Right.
would agree. Dan?
Yeah. Well, mentioned that, yeah, Post Status is a great community. Slack, as Slack communities go in WordPress, we do a lot of our organizing, and yeah, similarly, a lot of the Canadian WordPress community is on a Slack instance for that too. That Shanta Nathwani, I believe, set up. I didn't know it was her, but I know it's been around for a while. But that you can, if you go to wpslack.ca, you'll find an invitation into that. Not, it's pretty well used. It's a good one. I'd love to see more people in there, and probably with each WordCamp, they'll get in there because it's a gives us some continuity in organizing the community for doing these sorts of things year after year.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
and so yeah, you'll meet people you've only known online, and
mhm.
that kind of deepens things, or you'll meet people in person who you haven't found you
Yeah.
haven't found online yet, but then you'll stay in touch that way. And it's, I think, a beautiful location. I really enjoyed downtown Ottawa last year, and this time, talk about accessibility. I like the physical accessibility of being able to fly in, get on the train. Train goes directly to the
To
some
Carlton.
of the hotels right on it, and directly to the venue. So
Yeah.
you can get off the O train right at Richcraft pretty much, and then other things. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to drive in a city I didn't bring the car to for sure.
No,
Yeah, we get
no,
a great
I
we get a
Don't even
great
want to use
view from the
Uber.
new venue as well. Like just from the Ridgecraft building, just overlooking the river. Like
I love it.
the view is fantastic. So, and if it's a nice day, like it's going to be great because I believe we have the patio space and stuff like that too. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
really hopeful for the unique qualities of a very local and regional, national and international camp. Where you'll have all those layers there, and
Yeah.
the kind of dynamism of students and faculty in the fall who are going to come into it, and some of our Fediverse friends maybe from hither and yon. And yeah, we've got people coming from all over the world, so it will feel like I think, a very at once intimate but very broad, very big in its breadth.
Yeah. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Toronto hasn't had a word camp in a number of years where I am, just outside. I think both of you know that.
Mhm.
I won't get into the reasons why on this podcast, but I have my own theory. We can talk about offline sometime, but that's all good. And I agree, Troy. It's the people. I think about the last couple of word camps I've been at, and I don't know how many presentations I've seen and how much catching up with people I did in the break room, in the hallway track. And Dan's nodding his head because we're very similar in that way. I just love the people at these events, and I think that's the attraction. Everybody being together, not just being. Let's not just do this virtually, if you know what I mean. It's just getting out and seeing people.
Yeah, I think last year was a little extra special for me as well. Like getting to go back there and seeing some like the old organizing team for WordCamp Ottawa's, who half of them were part of the WordCamp Canada organizing team. I hadn't seen them in quite some time, and then meeting there's folks that I communicate with now that I met with. I
Mm.
made my first contribution to Core. I mean, after WordPressing for 18 years, I hadn't made any contributions to Core, so I was
Wow.
enabled to do that last year by meeting some really fantastic folks during the happiness bar area and learning how to do that. And then like Dan and myself, I never met Dan before. I met Dan last year. I think it was actually during the after party I really met Dan last
Yep.
year, and we've been communicating ever since. So it's things like that that I love about WordCamps. Just I can go in there and gain new friends all the time.
Yeah. And anybody who hasn't been to Ottawa, I would encourage them to take a couple extra days. Our nation's
Oh yeah.
capital is beautiful,
Especially in
and
October.
in
Yeah.
October it's gorgeous. Take a walk down to the
It's
Parliament
gonna be
buildings.
nice
Take a
weather.
walk. Yeah, it will be. And take a walk
Yeah.
behind it and look over the river. I mean, that's just a beautiful view. Um, I can't
If you really
remember.
want to get out there, like go to like Gatineau Park, like when you're starting to see the fall leaves and the
Yep.
colors changing, it's one of the most beautiful things I think I've seen around this area by far.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want a break, like on the Thursday or the Friday, take a walk down the Parliament buildings and take the ride up to the top of the Peace Tower and take a look at the entire city and the entire region. That view is just breathtaking. Like you got to do it and make the time. I'm not sure if it's open on Saturday anymore. I can't remember,
Hmm.
but that's just one of my favorite views in this country. It's funny, guys. I'm afraid of heights, and I have a thing for spots with a view. Isn't that ironic? So yeah, that's my thing. So spots with the view. So I would say do it. And if you're going to stay in town on a Saturday, maybe take a walk down and see the War Memorial Museum that was renovated a number of years ago, or spend some time looking at the sites. Or you want to go shopping and have a fun place to eat, go to the Byward Market and have some fun down there. I mean, that's one of my favorite spots in town, right? So just do
Yeah.
it.
And they
That's
just
where a lot of
redid
us
part
end
of the
up.
Science and Tech Museum. I took my kids there just at the
Hmm.
tail end of their school year, and the Science and Tech Museum had gone through a lot of work as well. So that's another
Yep.
fantastic spot to go and check it out.
Yep. You were gonna
Yeah, I
add that?
learn more every year
Yeah,
about
it's just quite the place, and I've been there countless times over the years, having grown up in Toronto and grew up in Montreal before then, and having family there. I just love the area. And like if you're in Canada, there's a couple options. You can take the train, take the Via. If you're in Toronto, and you don't want to drive. I'm sure James Giroux who's on the organizing committee out of
Kingston.
Kingston. I'm
Yeah.
willing to bet you James is going to take the train down and not drive. I can almost bet on it. James seems to like the train, so and I would do that from Kingston. It's only 2.5 hours in from Toronto. It's about 4.5. We're probably going to fly in, so we're looking at that as we speak. So and go from there, and it's just a beautiful. It's an easy ride, right? So you know.
The
What
train from
excites you
Edmonton would
most?
take a while.
You know what, Dan? I've done the train from Vancouver back to Toronto, and I want to do it again with
Yeah, I thought
the
about it.
pretty lady, the pretty lady. So we're working on that as a
I
future
went to
trip. So
Montreal after last year. That was fun.
yeah, did you
Yeah, planning
did
to.
you did, did you like Montreal? Have you ever
Oh
been?
yeah, yeah. It's very, very much alive, acting like a city, all at all
Yeah,
hours. So
and
very
and
beautiful.
and I'm sure Troy's been in Montreal a few times, being so close. He's dealing with deliveries.
Livery man.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that's all good.
I've
But
I've actually I if you check the WordCamp Canada website, I think it's on the sponsor material, but I put I put a lot of my favorite spots in there because some of the side events or after
Yep.
party, I wanted to give people a sense of all that flavor, the Byword Market and beyond. A lot of
Yep.
rooftop places that I
Yeah,
like.
they're cool.
There's one, actually, it's in a basement and they've got a rooftop, but yeah, some very interesting themed restaurant, bar spaces. There was a tiki bar that was quite a hit last year.
The
So
Tiki
yeah,
Bar is
very,
it's like a given at WordCamps here in
Yeah.
Ottawa. I
yeah,
remember the
yeah.
Tiki Bar being popular for WordCamp Ottawa's, and I was not surprised to hear it come up several times at WordCamp Canada last year.
So I was going to share with you guys, I'm planning on doing something a little special for the podcast while I'm at WordCamp Canada, WordCamp A. I'm actually taking two portable mics with me, lapel mics, and I'm going to interview some people about their thoughts about being at WordCamp A, and I'm going to release it as a podcast after the fact. So
Oh, cool.
I'm just going to do it kind of on the fly and like 30-second spots here and there, and then mash it all together and release it. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job, and I'm glad you're doing it. Like it takes a lot of work to organize an event like this. I mean, how big's your organizing team at this point?
5 co-leads,
Oh,
and I don't know exactly how many volunteers. We have volunteers that are coming and going. They'll jump in for periods, and then they got other things, and they'll come and go. So I don't even know how many to guess.
yeah, yeah. And
Around
you've both,
30 tops. Yeah, it's kind of an informal thing. There's like
yeah,
a real small core group and then different teams and some become more active at different points, um,
mm,
depending on what their roles are.
yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna
I-
do the podcast on site, I hope we see Davender. You, he's thinking about starting a podcast again from the
Yep,
WP Weekly.
yep.
He's,
I know he
you
is. I
know,
was talking. He's
get
a
the
good friend.
visa and come.
Yeah, from India.
Yeah. So
Devinder's a
reach
good
out
friend of
again.
mine. Yeah, I said to him a while ago he needs to jump in and do it because he stopped doing it. I think he does a great job. So I think he's an ideal guy to do it. So he's a really cool guy. And yeah, he'll get back at it. He's got to. So podcasting just gives people another avenue, as you know. So it's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I told him he
I
should do his first episode at WordCamp Canada, and if you're there doing, you could interview each other,
Yeah, yeah,
do
yeah.
live interviews.
We've done that before, by the way. We've both been
Okay,
on each
good,
other's
good.
shows. So yeah, so um what else should people think about before they're going? We've talked about how to get there. We've talked about accommodations. There's a lot there. We've talked about things to do. We've talked about the people at WordCamp. Is there anything else we're missing?
I mean, come prepared to learn.
Hmm.
Yep.
When I look down through those talks,
Yep.
I don't see myself going into any one of those talks and not coming away with some new piece of knowledge.
Yep.
Um, I just look down through the quality of talks and who these speakers are, and I feel like we have one of the best lineups I've seen at a WordCamp in as long as I can remember. Um,
Mm.
so I'm super excited for the learning opportunities, and I'm really excited to see what happens with the contributor day and the idea of workshops. And a good number of our submissions for talks were actually around workshops, which is where this idea came from, around trying to
Yep.
cater something a little bit different, not just go into a session and hear about this cool new thing that you can do or something that someone else did. It's like go in there and actually have someone who's got a lot of experience teaching you something very specific and you being able to walk away and go and implement that into your own workflow or code or whatever it is you're doing. And
Yep.
I think a big part of that too is also looking to focus on just for beginners. I think that's a big thing in the community right
Yeah.
now, especially,
Yep.
and it's not just like within our community, it's like WordPress in general at this point. It's like, how do you attract a younger audience when we have a younger audience right now who is so consumed with AI and has no attention span? How do you attract those people and kind of keep them in this ecosystem? So that's going to be an
Yep.
interesting challenge. And I think we need to do a little something around a good intro course for those beginners to
I
try to hook them early.
I agree with you. Dan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's all great. I think the age uh diversity is going to be fun, and there's going to be hopefully be a like a university, and in my good memories of it, kind of that generational transfer of senior people, but who still have that kind of kid-like curiosity and interest and want to share that. I think Dave's like that. I think Jeff Paul and a lot of
Mhm.
people will be able to build bridges with anyone who walks in with a kind of an open mind and interest in doing things, and maybe a more hands-on way than you're expecting or used to at a WordCamp. And yeah, the thinking part, there's a lot of open questions. It's not so much come and hear
Yeah,
presentations on, there's how-tos and there's specific stuff, but some of these are big, woolly open questions about the future of the open web and what does an open social app look like. And Dave Weiner has his Wordland kind of, it's almost, kind of an early stage working tool you
mm,
can play with to publish to any number of your WordPress sites through a really simple interface. Um, ActivityPub, a lot that is going on with that. I know a lot of people are coming who aren't speaking, but who are developers who are working on it. So you can have these kind of informal conversations about the stuff that's emerging now as kind of an idea in a messy and open state. What could we do with this? How could it be expressed? How could it go? And it really isn't just the technology, it's that coming together and getting people to
I agree.
put their heads together and then all
Yeah,
go in the same kind of build a movement, go in the same way. This is how we're going to do this and implement this. That's something Dave has always stressed, and I think he's right on with that. It's not
I would agree.
anyone can have a good, great idea, but it becomes a big thing, and when it moves with a crowd of
Mhm.
people deciding, hey,
Yep.
this is how we want to share and talk and use this as a medium.
So true. Do either of you have anything you want to add about WordCamp Canada, WordCamp A, WCA?
Well, I think there's a lot of future potential. It's only its second year, and we're
Yeah.
we're thinking too of how can we rope in more people to do it again on the West Coast.
Hmm.
Maybe Carleton's a big WordPress campus, so is UBC. Um, there are lots of other places that this could go, and where we could activate maybe some of those student programs that are coming online in the community through Campus Connect, um, drawing in younger people generally, but
Yeah.
well, all ages, but from going for that university segment in Canada.
Great.
Yeah, I think one of the big things we talked about as a lead organizing team really early on was that we had a suspicion that we might get a little bit of a pushback on having WordCamp Canada in Ottawa for a second year in a row. And given that a lot of the organizers were on the WordCamp Ottawa crew before, so immediately we said, like, look, let's try to follow a WordCamp US model and do 2 years in a city. Because really the first year is figuring it out. The second
Mhm.
year is handing it over to what you would hope to be a bit more of a smoother process. Now, I mean, I
Yeah.
say smooth really loosely because these things never go smoothly.
No.
So one of the things we really wanted to identify was like, where could we move it? And then how can we build things now that can be easier to hand off to the next group of people? Just how can we level up our mentorship game? So
Mhm.
that's a lot of work that we put in there, trying to make sure that when we do find the next crew that wants to take over and it shifts wherever it's going to shift, we're setting them up. Like, I know the last team set us up with a lot of good stuff, so we're just trying to build
Yeah.
upon that now in a very different way to be
And
able to
build your
hand that
team
off
that
to the
way.
next group. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that was a big part of our early conversations, because it wasn't just how can we make 2025 very successful? How can we bring the Canadian community together and continue to make WordCamp A successful no matter where it is?
Yeah. So true and so well said. If anybody wants to find more information about WordCamp A, where do they go?
Well, the URL is canada.wordcamp.org/2025. Or as Dan mentioned earlier, if you wanted to kind of get more involved in the community, You can go to wpslack.ca, and there's some information there on how to find us in our Slack group, and you can join up and join in on the conversations and become part of our Canadian community.
Yep, yep. And tickets are only $100 Canadian, which
Yes.
translates into about 60 odd dollars US for us American friends. And to us American friends, if you want to come spend your money in Canada, feel free. That's an easy one. There you
Yeah,
go. And
on our site we have all the information around. We do have a list of suggested hotels. We have some deals there on
yep,
hotels. We have some information on planning your trip, so it gives you more information on the directions, a little bit about Carleton, a little bit about the city. I think there's some information around some of the attractions, things to do here. So there's a lot of that great information on the site right now.
yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. I hope it goes well, and we'll talk to you both soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Dan and Troy for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.